and welcome to my review of Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 as a person who has never actually played it, but who has seen a bunch of gameplays of it. Keep in mind that these are just my opinions, so don't, go full-on buck wild at me in the comments. And once again, this is just, the perspective of someone who has only, seen gameplays, but has not actually played the game, because I don't have an expensive enough, computer or monitor for that, for those types of games. I just want to start off by talking about, the environment and the, horror, the new horror elements and the tension. I know a lot of other people are praising it for this too, but yeah, I really like how they really, leaned into the horror this time. The impatient part of me is oh, the tension lasts so long, just get to the good parts. But the critique part of me really loves that there was so much tension built to, finally get to, the big thing. Whereas with Chapter 2, there wasn't really any tension built. We all knew that there was gonna be, a chase scene eventually. Mommy Longlegs was just kind of taunting us the whole time. I love how when we're in the orphanage, we, see Catnap every once in a while, spying on us, and it, freaks you out and makes you so anxious for a jump scare, but then we, end up never getting a jump scare in that time period, and so it's so fun to, see the gamers I watch play it, just completely be on edge. Come on, jump scare, I know you're coming, and then it just doesn't come, and it's just oh, yeah, it's such, cool, tension building. Next, I want to talk about the story. I really loved that, little cartoon at the beginning of the chapter. Some YouTubers didn't get it for some reason, but if you did, I just love that because, cartoons back then, they were, rough. Ever seen, Curious George and Kids Next Door? There were some, creepy-ass things in old cartoons, and so I really love how it, played on that, but also the fact that the makers of Catnap had, underlying bad intentions. I think the story about how, they had their own orphanage and they, raised children in the orphanage specifically so they could, do experiments on them, that is actually, a really cool story. And it seems like one of those things where, the creator had a vision to make toys that were actually alive, but then, obviously, that vision was so corrupt and just obviously did not go well because all the workers were killed in the end, rightfully so. Oh, and I really loved the part where the main character first walks into the red smoke and then at first you don't realize that you're hallucinating. I mean, me personally, I realized it right away, kinda. I wasn't 100% confident, but I was they established that this stuff, makes you have nightmares, so I'm pretty sure all these, long, endless hallways are, part of some illusion. Especially because, the radios were playing as if they were, picking up on current newscasts, which is strange, because I'm pretty sure that's not how radios work. Yeah, because they wouldn't be picking up newscasts about, the 80s. So yeah, that's what made me think that it was a dream sequence, because I was that's kind of weird. And also the long ass hallways, I was okay, this is an illusion, isn't it?
Get up.
I'm up.
Get up.
What the hell are you talking about?
But yeah, I was very proud of myself for being right about that. So yeah, and I love that there was a scripted death from the TV Huggy Wuggy thing. I think that was very unique, and oh yeah, that was also the third thing that made me be okay, this is definitely a nightmare. Next, I want to talk about the characters. I don't trust Poppy at all, but also, considering she okay, so she betrayed us in Chapter 2. She says, "I'm sorry, I can't let you leave yet." And then in Chapter 3, she was she fully apologized. She was "Hey, I'm really sorry I did that. I just can't lose someone like you." And that is what brought my trust back, because even after she betrayed us, she still apologized and still was with us. I have a feeling someone's gonna tell Poppy that we were one of the workers that did all that shit, and then she's gonna be you did what? And then she's gonna full on betray us. I hope that theory is correct. Kissy Missy, I absolutely love her. I love that there's like another monster, or not monster, toy that is actually like good. Like, yeah, I love how this chapter introduced more toys that were still good. Like, the dog character, and, yeah, I think he was like the only other like new character that was good, but still, we still had like 3 toys that were good to us. But yeah, I absolutely love that Kissy is like also quiet like Huggy is. I can't tell if Kissy and Huggy are a couple or siblings. I thought Catnap was really cool. I love the concept of like a toy that was created to like help parents deal with their kids that just were not going to sleep, and so they're like, oh, let's just grab this thing and spray this mist so that our kids will just fall asleep so we can finally like get our alone time. But then of course it backfires and like gives the kids nightmares. Like, I love that. That's such a unique concept that I don't think I've ever heard of before. And I of course love that the prototype is a silent villain. I love that, and I love how it's being like built up. And if the prototype is not like a big like cool unique boss, then I'm gonna be a little disappointed, like considering how much has been built up. Oh, and can't forget about Miss Delight. That was like one of the best parts of the game. Once again, I love how they like doubled down on the horror this episode, because in so many new games, like mannequin red light green light type enemies are so terrifying. We got the mannequins from Little Nightmares 2, we got the endoskeletons from Security Breach, oh yeah, and we got the freaking golden statues from Dark Deception, and now we have Miss Delight from Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. I thought the dog guy, I don't remember his name, hold on, his name is literally Dog Day. Okay. I thought Dog Day was really cool, and once again, top tier horror, because that was like full on body horror, and I hated seeing them crawl inside of him. Like, we just met him, we already love him, and then he's already just screwed over. Like, that is so sad, but so terrifying. I do think they should have like saved some of those horror elements for like future chapters, so they're not like using up all of their stuff. And Ollie. Oh, Ollie, my nemesis. Ollie has the most annoying voice I have ever heard in my damn life, and I have no clue what the voice actor was going for. I can't tell if they're like a toy that is stuck with that kind of voice, because they sound like frickin' Dora the Explorer, like, go find the key, and then go to the door! And then that'll help us get through. Like, ugh, it's so annoying. So yeah, either they're doing that kind of voice on purpose because they're like a toy that just has that voice, or Ollie is not being genuine and we cannot trust Ollie, because that is the most like lying voice I've ever heard. Or a third option, the voice actor is just really bad at voice acting. I just hope that it's either, oh, it's a toy that just has that voice, or we just can't trust Ollie, because ugh. Because if the voice actor was going for a trustworthy little boy, then I'm sorry, but you failed. Just my opinion. Ollie was definitely the worst part of Chapter 3, in my opinion. I think Poppy should have just been the one guiding us through. And yeah, end of that. Kind of feel like the design of the smiling critters was a little much. Like, even in the like 80s or 90s, I don't think they would make something that would look that scary. Alright, this next section is gonna be about just, like, the layout and the puzzles. Actually, never mind, Ollie, you're not the worst part of Chapter 3, the fucking puzzles are. And I'm saying this as someone who hasn't even played the game. I have had this thought since Chapter 1 came out, and the only other person that I know of who actually acknowledged it was Jacksepticeye. If you watch his playthrough, he, like, talks about it, but I was like, yes, finally someone said something. It's the fact that these puzzles don't make any sense in universe. Like, there's no freaking way that the workers at Poppy Playtime would tolerate having to go through these puzzles just to get into a fucking room. Like, do you know how fast I would quit if I had to go through some freaking weird puzzle just to get to like the bathroom. And if I had to hold a freaking grab pack everywhere I went. Like, yeah, I get it. The puzzles are there to make the game harder and like more fun. But realistically, in universe, they don't make any sense. Oh, and also like the layout of the building, like how big is this building? Do you know how deep our character has gone by now? We're like, we're probably like a mile underground by now, because if you watch it from chapter 1 to chapter 3, we're going so deep. Like, there's no way they dug a hole that big for this freaking huge ass layout in this big ass building. The layout doesn't make any sense, like realistically. Also, I know that like maybe this will happen in the next 2 chapters, but like, where are the labs? Like, where the frick are the places where the scientists worked on the children? Like, we have not, at least as far as I remember, we have not seen like a single lab. But like, if there was like a hospital-looking-esque room, then correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Also, why are there jail cells in the playground area? Like, those don't look like they were built in by Catnap. Those look like they have just been there. Like, what, were those for, like, the bad kids that would misbehave? Like, what the hell are those even for? Unless it was supposed to be, like, a zoo. Like, a zoo for the animal characters. Also, speaking of that playground, the one that's, like, near where Dog Day is, you cannot convince me that that wasn't a security breach reference. Like, that looks so much like the playground from the part in Security Breach where you're fighting Moon, or Sun and Moon. Also, the fact that, like, so there's a part in the game, I don't know when it is, but there's a part in the game where there's, like, these ducks that show up, and they look exactly like the ducks from Dark Deception. Oh, and another thing, I absolutely hate how we keep on like getting new types of puzzles. Like, why aren't these puzzles everywhere in the building? Why do they just, like, why are there new hand things later in the building? And also, why aren't there any more red hands? Why did we only get red hands in chapter 1? Why aren't there any red hands in chapter 2 and chapter 3? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like when you go through the building, you just constantly have to switch hands wherever you go. But we still haven't seen any more red hands, like, and the, like, purple hand thing doesn't make any sense. I feel like before the building was broken, they wouldn't have needed that, because there would have just been ladders, because most of the time, we're just jumping across things that could have just had, like, a bridge, or we're jumping up to, like, a hole that was made and didn't exist before. So, yeah, the purple hand concept does not make any sense to me. Also, why would that, like, shooter hand exist other than keeping away those tiny little things? Because before the place went to shit, those wouldn't have been needed either. Like, what would you use that for? That would be a fucking fire hazard. Anyway, sorry that this video ended on, like, a sour note, but I still had good things to say. But there's just that thing about the, like, layout and the friggin' puzzles. I just had to get off my chest. Like, I just don't like that they added those, like, battery things clear in chapter 3. Like, why didn't those battery things exist in chapter 1? Like, it's so weird. But anyway, thanks for sitting through this, and I'll see you later. Toodaloodles. Did you know my head is at your crotch level? I'm trying